The colony ship Prometheus Dawn had been humanity's last hope, carrying 10,000 souls across the void to the Kepler 442b settlement. But hope had turned to ash 3 cycles ago when the draconic Imperium's warships surrounded the human enclave, demanding tribute and servitude. Elsa wiped her hands on her apron, the synthetic fabric doing little to hide the purple-black bruises climbing her forearms like twisted vines. Her ribs ached where Commander Thaxul had struck her yesterday for serving his meal 30 seconds late. In the gleaming kitchen of the Imperial Governor's residence, she moved with practiced efficiency, preparing the evening feast for their draconic overlords. Careful with the thermic regulator, she muttered to herself, adjusting the quantum heating unit. The Draconics preferred their protein synthesized at exactly 347 Kelvin. Any deviation meant punishment. A soft, chirping sound made her freeze. Benny sat perched on the ventilation grate above the prep station, his iridescent scales catching the bioluminescent overhead lights. He was barely 3 meters long, a juvenile by draconic standards, with wings still too small for atmospheric flight. His amber eyes, large and curious, fixed on Elsa's bruised arms. "You shouldn't be here," Elsa whispered, glancing toward the sealed door. "If your father finds you—" The young dragon dropped down with surprising grace, his talons clicking against the duraplast floor. He approached slowly, head tilted, and made a low, questioning trill. Elsa instinctively pulled her sleeves down. "It's nothing, just clumsy." Benny's pupils narrowed to slits. Dragons possessed thermal imaging far superior to human technology. He could see the inflammation beneath her skin, the cellular damage invisible to the naked eye. He let out a sharp, distressed chirp. "Shh." Elsa glanced around nervously. "Please, you'll get us both in trouble." But Benny had already noticed something else. As Elsa reached for the protein synthesizer, her shirt rode up slightly, revealing a lattice of older scars across her lower back marks from neural whips. The preferred disciplinary tool of draconic taskmasters. The young dragon's scales rippled, shifting from peacock blue to deep crimson, a biological response indicating extreme agitation. He opened his mouth, and for a terrible moment, Elsa thought he might roar and alert the entire compound. Instead, Benny did something unprecedented. He carefully grasped Elsa's wrist with his foreclaw gentle, despite the razor-sharp talons, and began emitting a low-frequency harmonic. The sound vibrated through her bones, and within seconds, Elsa felt warmth spreading through her arm. The pain diminished. The bruises began to fade as Benny channeled his bioelectric field through controlled resonance, accelerating her cellular regeneration. "What are you?" Elsa breathed, astonished. She'd heard rumors that dragons possessed healing abilities, but they'd never used them on humans. Why would they waste such energy on livestock? The kitchen door hissed open. Governor Craxthor, Benny's father, stood in the doorway. He was massive, 20 meters from snout to tail, his crimson scales polished to mirror brightness, his eyes cold as the void between stars. Behind him stood Commander Thaxul, the officer responsible for most of Elsa's injuries. "Benny?" Craxthor's voice resonated through the room like thunder. "Step away from the human." Benny released Elsa's wrist, but positioned himself between her and the adults, wings spreading defensively, a posture no juvenile dragon had ever displayed toward their own kind on behalf of a human. "Father," Benny's voice came out in the complex, harmonic language of the Draconic Imperium, which the translation implant in Elsa's skull rendered into words. "This human is injured. Multiple contusions, 3 partially healed rib fractures, signs of repeated trauma. She is property," Thaxul interrupted, his tone dripping with disdain. "Her condition is irrelevant as long as she performs her duties." Benny's scales flared, brighter crimson. "Our medical protocols prohibit unnecessary harm to sentient beings. It's in the Imperial Charter, Article 7, Section. Those protections don't extend to conquered species," Craxthor said, though his voice had lost some of its certainty. "Actually," Benny continued, his young voice growing stronger, "they do. I accessed the full legal database. The Charter makes no such distinction. It states, all sentient beings under Imperial jurisdiction shall be afforded basic protections against cruel and excessive punishment. Humans have passed every sentience benchmark tool use, abstract reasoning, Cultural complexity, emotional depth. Elsa stood frozen, hardly daring to breathe. Thor moved closer, studying his son with an expression Elsa couldn't quite read. You've been researching Imperial law? I've been researching everything about humans, Benny admitted. Their literature, their music, their scientific achievements. Father, they're not so different from us. They dream, they create, they love their young. He glanced back at Elsa. They feel pain, exactly as we do. The silence stretched for several heartbeats. Finally, Thor turned to Thak-Zul. Show me your justification for the neural whip usage. Submit full documentation of each disciplinary action against this human to my office within the hour. Thak-Zul's scales paled. Governor, I don't see. That's an order, Commander. As Thak-Zul retreated, Thor approached Elsa for the first time. She forced herself not to flinch. Up close, the governor was even more terrifying. Each of his teeth was longer than her forearm. What is your name? He asked. Elsa, sir. Elsa. He tested the word. My son has opened my eyes to certain oversights in our administration. You will be reassigned. No more kitchen duty. I'm placing you in the Xenobiology Research Division. Your species' medical knowledge may prove valuable. Elsa's eyes widened. Sir, I thank you. Thor looked down at Benny, something almost like pride flickering across his reptilian features. Perhaps there is wisdom in seeing the world through young eyes. Wisdom I'd forgotten. That night, as Elsa was shown to new quarters, actual quarters, not the storage closet she'd been sleeping in, she spotted Benny watching from a balcony above. The young dragon chirped softly, a sound that needed no translation. Sometimes, she realized, it took the innocent perspective of youth to remind even the mightiest empires of their own better nature.